Is Moco dying or is Moco staying alive? Basically, Moco released a KPI that's explaining everything they're working on for the future of the game. Today, I'm going to be checking out the Core Chronicles. This is a group that puts together all the information and kind of lets you know what's going on. This is put together by Mini Solo, Octobrawl, and the Ryan the Cat. So big thanks to them for putting this together. Now here we go. This is a big kicker right at the start. The devs have confirmed that Chapter 3 will not be released. So Moco Chapter 3 is just canceled. We are not getting it anymore. Now we're going to talk about this more as we go through here. Next up, they say Moco isn't dead, however. It will be the same game in a few months. It's time for Moco 2.0. Honestly, I think it's probably a good idea they're not releasing Chapter 3 because there's so much issues that are becoming more big in the game that if they just released more content, I feel like it would probably just add more to the issue instead of actually fixing the real problems. But we'll get more into that as we read through. Here are the core issues that have kind of been causing a lot of problems. Right here, up first, we have lack of content. Lack of content is huge because in Chapter 3, they could release more content, but a lot of the hardcore players are pushing so fast through the game that there's not enough stuff for them to do. And so basically all the hardcore players, they'll finish everything, they'll be done at some point, and then there's just like a whole rest of the chapter where no one's playing. And so I feel like if they just released more in Chapter 3, the same thing would happen, and the problem wouldn't really be addressed. It would just be kind of chucking like more drops into a water bucket, like not really fixing the problem. We have gameplay feels repetitive. This one's kind of self-explanatory. It's kind of the thing where you're just going through killing monsters over and over, completing challenges, kind of starts to feel like the same thing over and over, and you're not really getting anything new and refreshing. Progress doesn't feel meaningful. This one is because of the reset they do after every chapter, where it basically takes all of your progress away. While I tried to give this a chance at first, I really enjoyed like being able to progress and level up, but once Chapter 1 to Chapter 2 happened, I feel like I lost basically all my power and all the work I actually put into the game. I felt like I just lost it instantly. Right here next to it, losing progress at the end of every chapter is frustrating. Just talked about that. Obviously, when you work for something, you want to keep it. And so when you're losing it after every chapter, it would get a little tiring, which also comes into the repetitive side, because then you're feeling like you're doing all this work, losing it, doing it all again, losing it, and it's just kind of a cycle, and it starts to feel really repetitive. Next up here, we have the game isn't social enough. They tried to fix this a little bit where they added the big community feature where everyone can join together. It's like a huger version of the little chat rooms, but it definitely quite didn't hit the mark because I feel like everyone's more doing call outs and there's not really like a community building experience where it's getting people to come together. Everyone's more just typing in chat call outs and everyone's just joining and then leaving. So it's not really like a thing that's bringing people together. The game also doesn't have a super huge player base yet. So with matchmaking still having some issues, you get paired with bots pretty often. So it's hard to make it more social in that aspect as well. And right into that, we have poor matchmaking, too many bots. I've had lots of issues with this, where you try to queue into a rift and you just get paired with bots. You lose basically instantly because they have no idea what they're doing. So that one is definitely a huge issue. Next one here, we got lack of updates. Now the Moco team is definitely smaller than some of the other Supercell teams, so it makes sense why it takes longer for them to get stuff out, but they do put a lot of work into what they put out and they want to make sure that it's the best. So updates definitely do take longer to come out, and I do think that should be something that's fixed. And I think with fresh content coming in every week where things rotate would definitely be a good thing that could fix something like this. Next up, we have no guilds or clans. Now I think basically every game has something like this at this point, where you can join up in a crew or a clan or whatever it's called in the game, and you can basically work together and do different events and things. And so I feel like it's definitely something that should just be added into Moco, because it's like monster hunters can join up in clans and work together to complete events. It really makes sense to me. I feel like it's something that could work really well in this game. So hopefully that's something that's added in the future. So next up, they say here, simply adding more content won't solve these problems. More chapters could even worsen matchmaking. Now this makes sense because if they just threw out a new chapter, obviously they would put work into it, make sure it was awesome, but it would just kind of be throwing everything out there the same way they've been doing in the past. It would just be adding on to the pile and making it into something that would make the problems worse. Okay, this line right here is a big one. Progression and retention remains the real issue. To tackle this, the devs have decided to revamp Moco from the ground up. Now guys, this is huge news because this is going to change Moco forever. This is going to make the game completely different from what it is now. Obviously, there's still going to be the core gameplay and there's going to be the features that make it feel like Moco, but they're basically saying that this is going to change the game forever. All right, next up, revamp changes. Right off the bat here, they say buy chapters, hello seasons. Moco is shifting from chapter-based updates to seasons, replacing permanent content with rotating events and frequent updates. So as we were talking about above, if they do this, this will make it so the gameplay doesn't feel as repetitive and there'll be constantly new things refreshing all the time, making it feel different. Next, they say here, frequent event and quest refreshes aim to keep things dynamic and engaging, with each season building to a finale. I am interested in what they said here though, with each season building to a finale. Now we don't know for sure, but this could be like a huge boss battle where everyone goes in together and fights a huge thing. Like, that's just speculation, I have no idea for sure, but with the way this sounds, it could be something super epic to end off every season. Alright, we also got permanent progression with Mastery Track. This will be amazing because you'll actually feel like you're making progress. Rotating events funnel players into fewer modes at once, reducing fragmentation and making matchmaking faster and more social. This one really tackles the matchmaking issue with bots, where if they have fewer events but they're always rotating so it feels refreshing, then you'll always be put in with real players because everyone's always hopping into the same mode. So if there's a rift you want to play, once it's in rotation, you go into it, and there will always be people going in there because that's the only rift up at the moment. All right, this is another huge change from gear kits to classes. The developers are retiring the current gear system covering weapons, gadgets, passives, and rings in favor of classes with predefined builds and unique mechanics. Now guys, this one is a huge kicker here, okay? Basically, what this is saying is we will not be able to switch out all the different gadgets and make our own builds. Everything will come predefined. So if you want to play Toothpick and Shield, you'll pick it as like the tank class, and then you'll already have all the gadgets and everything. It'll build it for you. So this will make it easier for newer players to pick up because they won't be confused on what stuff goes good together and how to build. It'll make it so where you can just pick it and jump in. I know there's quite a few players that actually like the aspect of building your own thing out and trying to find out what works best, but there's also a huge majority of players that would rather just grab something and jump in instead of trying to build their own. So it's kind of a split take. Classes have dedicated reward tracks, including cosmetics, badges, and more. This is one of the changes I'm actually most excited for because I love reward tracks and I love progressing through on a certain thing I like using and trying to finish it and earn all the rewards for that. Right here, they're basically saying as you unlock more classes, it will add more long-term goals and basically give you a better variety of gameplay. Now, this is another huge thing right here. They're saying power progression removed. Removing power progression means everyone can play together regardless of level. This removes a huge barrier to social play. Now picture when you're playing with a friend, they're way lower level than you and you're like way up here. It makes it hard to want to play with them because when you're going into those easier areas, you're basically feeling like you're not making any progress. You're just running around, slashing everything in one hit, super easy. So it's basically a thing that makes it where social play isn't something that's encouraged. So if they do something like this, it would make it so it would encourage you to play with friends because everyone feels like they have something that they're completing while they're playing together. All right, here's another hard hitter right here. Account progression reset. All hunters will start at the same level of progression in the new system. Now don't get scared. This doesn't mean you're losing your account. What they're saying here is that once this new system is put into place, everyone's account is basically gonna be reset. So everyone's starting at the same level in the new system they put in. Now hang on a second, what's going to happen to everything else? Let's check. Chapter 1, Chapter 2 progress will be considered for a cosmetic-based compensation pack, which could include Mo Gold and cosmetics. All the progression that you have made so far, they still want to take that into account. So you're still going to get some kind of compensation for all the different things you have done. And this is another good thing right here. All purchased and earned cosmetics will carry over. So once this new system comes out, everything will be carried over. You don't have to worry about anything getting lost or losing any of the cosmetics you've bought. Same with the collector level. That's the one thing that won't reset. So whatever you buy, cosmetic wise, upgrades your collector level. You will still keep all that and you don't have to worry about that going down. Also guys, keep in mind right here, it says The proposed changes to classes, seasons, and removal of power progression are still in development and are subject to change. So basically that just means anything they're working on right now could still change depending on how they feel as they're working on it. Also right here in the news, they had creators' takes. Basically, they just went and asked around a bunch of creators how they felt about the new KPI. And I want to give a big thanks to them for reaching out to me and letting me give my take on what I thought of the KPI. So we have all these amazing creators here that they asked. Let's scroll down here. We can check mine out. So here's what I said about the new KPI. Moco has been absolutely legendary with their communication about everything that's happening. Even though the amount of time we're going to have to wait will suck, I personally am excited to see how they change the game for the future. The classes feature seems super fun to me, and the different mastery tracks for each one. Overall, I'm content with the announcement, and I trust that the Moco team is making the best decision. Guys, we heard something in there that I said, even though the amount of time we are going to have to wait will suck. Now, we haven't covered this yet. How long are we going to have to wait for all these updates? Now, if you guys didn't notice right here at the top, it says the next major update is coming in 2026. So the big kicker for this KPI announcement, all these awesome features, we are going to have to wait until 2026 for the next update. While it's gonna suck, we're gonna be stuck in chapter 2 for this long. I do think though that Moco is making the best decision they can. I know they love the game. I know they want to make it the best they can. So I feel like they're making the best decision and taking a step back and trying to work out these issues. Once again, thanks so much to Mini Solo, Octobrawl, and the Ryan the Cat for putting together the Core Chronicles. I definitely suggest, if you have the time, to go read the full KPI because it explains everything in depth way better than I can do. Let me know in the comments what you think the most interesting feature is to you in the KPI. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.